Come on in, come on in. And the fans piling in. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Can we test, test, test? The fans coming in, sharing across all social media. Let me see if I. Oh, there you go. I can hear myself. All the scores are not final, as we have one score that I'm waiting for, and it was delayed, and that was the Long Beach at Purvis score. Some surprising tonight. If you want to come on the show, because Bingo's on his way back from Picayune with the happy Ocean Springs Greyhounds defeating Picayune. So he's not going to be able to make it on the air. Hunter Dawkins, who's been with us last couple of weeks, says he will make it. I'm Matt Stats Coach Football. Appreciate the share. Let me see if I can check out these comments. What's up with pass? Oh, it's in St. Stanislaus. I don't know what you're asking about that. I had pass winning Rockachals just are struggling. They're a young team. We're gonna go over the finals in case those who don't know the finals from tonight's games. 17 games. I haven't even added up to see what my record is. It's not perfect, obviously, because of some of the games, some wins that teams needed tonight. First wins. Let's start at the Christian Collegiate, the new 8-man to 11-man football. They lost to Met Rebels 60-6. They finally scored. Resurrection loses to Sacred Heart 35-7. Richton beats St. Patrick 44-28. Van Cleve gets their first win against Greene County. That was somewhat of a surprise, maybe not the Van Cleve fans. And I thought Van Cleve would win before this, but they finally did win 27-21. Van Cleve Bulldogs take out Greene County. East Central 41-19 over Forest County. That's a first win there for Coach Huff uh, there at East Central, as I'm bringing up, as they take out Greene County. I was just getting this thing here. I'm gonna go over some other scores there, but again, Long Beach at Purvis, that's delayed. The last score that we had was Long Beach was losing to Purvis. So if you have a final on that, please pass it along. Again, post your questions as we will run through these scores. And then, like I say, we may bring on some fans to come on here. The last thing I had was 17-7, Purvis leading Long Beach. That has not gone final. It was weather delay. George County gets their first win tonight. And I was uneasy about picking George County, but I did pick them to win against Wayne County, who's struggling this season. In fact, let me see where my George County last time they started 0-4, 2016, and they did lose tonight. George County wins 28-21. Rest of the scores here: Tylertown defeats Harrison Central 13-12. I had Harrison Central winning at home after they lost last week 50 to something. They lost last week. St. Martin 4-0, 35-0 over Hancock. I had St. Martin winning, and again in my write up, after Hancock lost 60-54 last week, you figure, oh, Hancock's going to put up a lot, put up some points. And I had projected 42-19 St. Martin would win. And part of my write up was St. Martin is going to score, which they did. Can the Hawks keep up? And they could not tonight. That was a last shutout for St. Martin on the field was 2019. They do show if you go to that one site 2020, but that was COVID year, and they got a win. They didn't play the game, so I'm not counting that. So last shutout for St. Martin 2019. I did reach out to Coach Woody for St. Martin, said, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" He has not responded. I reached out to a couple people, and I guess nobody wants to come on the show. I'm sure some fans want to come on the show. We'll gladly accept some fans on there since the several people I've asked over the last several weeks, not the same people, just don't want to come on the live stream. Regardless, Pass Christian 56-0 over St. Stanislaus. Pass Christian rebounded after their first loss last week, and the Rocketchaws go to 1-3. Gaucher back winning after they lost two straight, 39-0 over Moss Point. Moss Point, of course, coming off their home win over the Rocketchaws last week. The Gators back winning. Poplarville and Pearl River Central. That was a game, almost the second game of the week, as PRC coming in at 3-0, and then you had, of course, Poplarville coming in at 2-1, and just the strength of schedule, as I posted in my predictions there, that Poplarville would win 41-35. I thought it would be a little bit closer, but it was a running clock, 49-14. Poplarville does defeat PRC to give them their first loss of the season. West Harrison, they were down. They were down early, but they came back to get the win, 53-20. 53-20. There, that West Harrison moves to 4-0. 4-0. That is the first time that West Harrison has ever started 4-0. Let me see. I'm gonna finish up and then I'll look at the comments. Pedal defeats Gulfport. I was watching that stream, and they led. It was tied at 10-10, but they did lead 7-3. Then it ended up being 10-10 at halftime. And Pedal scored late with less than a minute to go, I believe, and went for 2 points. Went for 2 points. And they took the lead 25-24. Coach Pennock and Admirals came back, drove down the field, and set up for a 40-yard field goal just about there, and it was wide right as time expired. And unfortunately, Admirals do lose to Pedal 25-24. I said again in my write-up that it would be a big boost for the Admirals to get this win. I know it's a non-region game, but they need that win, especially Pedal. Pedal beat them last in the playoffs, so that would have been a nice win for the Admirals. But they do lose tonight to Pedal 25-24. Biloxi had them losing last week at Picayune. They lost by 9. I had them going up to Hattiesburg, who is struggling this year. They've lost some key players. They're not the state championship representative as they were last year, and making it to the state championship. And Biloxi comes out losing 23-6. 23-6. Hattiesburg takes out Biloxi. D'Iberville, third-ranked team, moves to 4-0. They take out Pascagoula. We don't have an injury report that comes out every week for all the schools, but I know Pascagoula was out some quarterback. I don't know if they're out a quarterback this week, because I tried to watch the live stream again on Huddle, and again, it was just free. It wasn't doing anything. And then D'Iberville was trying to live stream on YouTube, and that wasn't doing anything. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see. I'm going to have to watch the highlights. but I believe some key players were out for Pascagoula. Again, it's a non-region game, does not affect your team in making the playoffs. So D'Iberville wins 35-14 over at Pascagoula. And then the number one team versus number two team, Ocean Springs travels over to Picayune, defeats them 56-42. 56-42. That was all offense, and they didn't bring the defense. That's just what's happened sometimes on the non-region games. At halftime, it was 42-28, Ocean Springs, and they did set a total team record. Ocean Springs did. It was 91 tonight, 56-42, 98 total points, and they did beat the record that was set in 2022 when Ocean Springs defeated Gulfport 58-33. So the top 10, as I will be posting that top 10 results as it with Biloxi going final, we have Ocean Springs, the number one team did win. Of course, they beat the number two team, Picayune. D'Iberville, third ranked, they won. West Harrison, fourth ranked, they won. Gulfport, as mentioned, lost on 25-24. And sixth ranked, Biloxi lost. Seventh ranked, Poplarville won. Eighth ranked, Pascagoula lost to third ranked D'Iberville. PRC lost to seventh ranked Poplarville. And St. Martin gets the shutout win over Hancock. Kind of, I didn't expect them to shut them out, but I thought it would be a 42-19 St. Martin win. They won 35-0. Again, that was the last time they shut out a team was 2019. So St. Martin won there. And again, I will be posting that on Facebook here uh, shortly. Let me see if I can get to some of the comments as Bingo's riding back from Picayune to Ocean Springs again with Coach Bramlett and company with the nice win, a road win there, and they start next week. Next week for 7A will start region games next week. At least six of them. There's odd number of teams, obviously, and not all seven will be playing a region game, and we'll go over that here shortly. So let me check in on the live stream, see if I can read some comments here. Oh, we do have Anthony is showing that. So that is a final. Then Anthony 23-21. Purvis will defeat Long Beach. That was a game I was uncomfortable with. I know Long Beach won last week. They shut out last week. Bay High, who was off tonight. Bay High and Stone are off tonight. So 23-21 Purvis over Long Beach. And I had Long Beach winning 27-14. That falls short there. So I will have to update the final rankings here as Purvis wins. I appreciate everybody posting the scores here on Facebook. The updated scores certainly takes, all of us to keep everybody up to date. And again, we should be having a guest here coming on shortly. Hopefully, Hunter Dawkins, who is with Gulfport, writes for the Gazebo Gazette. And I'm just trying to update. But I want to know, we'll have the fan talk over the weekend. I'll post a post and you guys ask and I answer, what's surprised you this week. So I'm going to save that there, and that's going to be the final post there. Oh, let me see. New comments. Ty Keys, yes, I was watching that live stream. He had a long touchdown call back. I believe it was 80 yards or 90 yards. But PRC, Coach Feaster, they came back and was able to put some points on the board. Poplarville's on a roll after losing to Stone that first week. They've won three in a row, and PRC coming in, 3-0. Last time that they were 4-0 was 2003, and the Hornets' third straight road game, and they went perfect to 3-0. And but don't look now, but Picayune's coming to town next week for Poplarville. But PRC, I believe, is going to be all right. I mean, I'm going to come out with region predictions when they start region play Monday, and I posted it. I don't know if you guys seen it. I will be predicting the 7A, which will start this week. That's the only region game starting this week. Are the six teams out of seven in 7A will start region games. But again, PRC in that six-team division with Hancock, Gaucher, Pascagoula, Long Beach, Picayune. If I had to look on paper right now, I would say that PRC could beat Hancock. They would beat Long Beach. And they'll have their troubles against Picayune and Pascagoula and Gaucher. Will that get them into the playoffs? I believe it would be if they win those games. But Monday at 7 o'clock, I will have the predictions for 7A. What four teams will make the playoffs, who will win the region. So make sure you join or that post when it posts on there. Let me see. Garrett, Poplarville didn't lose the Stone. No, they did not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Poplarville did not lose the Stone. Poplarville defeated Stone. They lost to West Harrison the first week. They did lose to West Harrison the first week, and I don't know why on here I can't really see all the comments. We got Laney Waltman had a big night against Picayune. Yeah, I was watching. I actually was watching both casts, the Talking Ball on YouTube, and then the Ocean Springs with Shep on there. I mean, it was crazy scoring. I mean, you'd imagine when the final score there, 56-42. I mean, it was a 99-yard touchdown pass to Chop right over the shoulder. Man, you have to see the highlights. I'm sure one of the news, uh, WXXV or WLOX will have the highlights there, and we will share the highlights. If you notice, we'll share one of them in the morning and then one of them in the evening to give both of them credit for what they do. Yes, again, Ty Keys, I was going through there. Miles will keep us at number one. Brian Higginbottom. Brian, did you want to come on the live stream? I don't if you DM me your phone number or if you already have the link, we'll get you on here. But Ocean Springs, they look good. I know they gave up 42 points, but they did look good tonight. And I know Bingo had texted me again. He's driving back from Picayune, and that's one of the things that he said that Ocean Springs is good. Yes, they're good. Can say anybody beat them? D'Iberville, you know, they're silently there at 4-0, and trying to get these. Thank you for correcting me there. It's a video out on that TD already. Tonio Peters, a great number one Poplarville fan, and they're just about a lot of Poplarville fans, as it should be. I'm just scrolling to the comments. Again, what score really, you know, that surprised you? Let me go and see what out of 17 games, I want to see what my record is. So I can get that up to date. Uh, let me see. These are the ones I got right. Ocean Springs, D'Iberville, West Harrison, lost Petal and lost Hattiesburg. Petal beat Gulfport, and then Hattiesburg beat Biloxi. So that's one, two, that's three. Poplarville, four. Gaucher, five. Pascagoula, six. St. Martin, seven. George County, eight. East, no, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11-6. That stinks. I mean, I won more than I lost, but yeah, but give credit to the ones I did lose. Again, mentioned Petal, Gulfport, and mentioned Hattiesburg beating Gulfport, but the first winners tonight, and then Harrison Central. They're not going to win a region game, unfortunately. I don't believe as of right now. Not that they're not trying. Believe me, they are. They're out there practicing just like everybody else. But George County gets their first win. I did pick them to win against Wayne County. The six that I lost, Purvis beat Long Beach 23-21. I lost that one. East Central, again, with their first win against Forest County. And when it comes to region predictions, I still have Pass Christian is going to win their first region title in that region there. East Central defeats Forest County, get their first win. Van Cleve tied up at 14 each at halftime. They defeat Greene County 27-21. Nice win there as they move. Coach Fant moves to 1-4. And those are the games that I lost. I got Richton right, I got Sacred Heart right, and Amit over Christian Collegiate. So 11-6. I mean, obviously, I'll take it. I haven't had a below 500 picking in a while. I got some stat on that. So, Tim, Brian, you got to send me? You got to DM me your number, and then I'll send you a link if you want to come on. So let me. I don't know. Let me. What's the shocker? What score is the shocker there? And these teams that won the first game tonight, you know, I mean, give it George County, over Wayne County is Wayne County. I mean, I try to get the representative over there, George County, could not make it tonight, so I was trying to get him on there. And again, I text Coach Woody from St. Martin, a nice little shutout win, 4-0, St. Martin. As far as region predictions, are they going to make the playoffs? I just we'll just have to wait and see. And Monday, when I project if they will make the playoffs or not, that is St. Martin 4-0 last time, or the first time since 2019 that St. Martin starts 4-0. And of course, Crockett there, he's the quarterback has scored a lot, and I don't know what he did tonight. Do not know what he did tonight, but what I say, 2019, they went 7-4. They still didn't make the playoffs that year. They did make the playoffs in 2020. That was the last year that they made the playoffs. They have not won a playoff game. That is St. Martin. With this new format starting in 1981, they played in 1989. They lost 2003. They lost 2017 and 18. They lost 2020 was the last time they were in the playoffs. So Coach Woody, is looking to turn that around. They've started off hot before. Now they're 4-0. This next week they will host West Harrison. That game you talking about, first game in the region, that is a very huge game because that is really a two-game swing because of any ties. If they should tie with the same record, go head to head. So it's again really a two-game win for the team that wins. And West Harrison, they doing it to it. I don't know exactly what Stapleton and company did as far as what he did personally there, but they did win 53-20, hosting Laurel, and the first time ever that they are 4-0. And I don't know if Coach Quincy Patrick, I can text him and see if he wants to come on here. I was trying to get, coaches on here or players on here. I know Bingo, when he's on here, he's more um, entertaining than the stat man. So I don't think anybody saw East Central beating Forest County. I didn't. I did not. East Forest County was undefeated coming in. I didn't necessarily break down who they played, but yes, the Aggies. The last time the Aggies, if they would have won, would have been 4-0. Was 2009. Now is the year they played in South State, but they didn't make it to 4-0. And the last time the Hornets started 0-4 was 2013, but they are not 0-4. They are 1-3. And looking at next week, they will be at Pass Christian. That will be a handful there, as the Pirates are early favorites in that game, being at home. Believe they're at least a about a 17-point favorite as of today, but that will be adjusted as it gets closer to picking on that Thursday, the game prediction. Happily surprised as Don Hill, Albert, happily surprised that Forest County lost. Like I say, I have right now, if I had to predict that that region, um, that is past Christian, I have them winning. Again, they're one of five teams that have not won a region title. And they have five teams in that region. They got Forest County, Greene County, Moss Point, and Pass Christian and Bay. So I'm looking at Pass Christian at winning their first region title this year, which is surprising. They haven't won one, but they have not won a region title. That is the Pirates with a great coach, Jeff Stockstill, proven winner. Uh, won a state championship in his ninth year here, 79-28. That's Coach Stockstill. So I know we Coast football, Starkville beat Louisville. Well, thank you for there. Crockett had one passing and two rushing touchdowns tonight. That's, I mean, he's really stepped it up. He's really has done great. That is a St. Martin quarterback, and he's not a senior. Is he a sophomore? I don't know if he's a sophomore or not. I'm not for sure. Brant, if you want to come on the live stream, DM me your phone number. I'll send you a link. Since we're seen to be out of guest here tonight, it's always good to have somebody else to talk to besides the over 200 people watching this on there. Brian, yeah, Hattiesburg and Biloxi. Like I said, Hattiesburg, not the greatest team this year as they were last year when it went to the state championship. Biloxi, they lost to Picayune last week. I know it's non-region games. That's just what it is. And region game next week, Ocean Springs is at Biloxi. And you lose, I'm projecting you have to win at least three region games to get into the playoffs, if not four. So I'm will have a on Monday at 7 o'clock. I'll release who will win the region title and what four teams will make the playoffs and what three teams will be out of the playoffs in the 7A. Of course, those are my projections and projections. And he's a sophomore. Thank you, sophomore. Yeah, Coda Rose, George County finally won. I had them winning, even though they haven't beat they haven't beat Wayne County over the long history of their rivalry. Even though recently they have. Let me see. They lead the series. Wayne County leads the series 15-3, and the Rebels have won two straight. Two straight. Um, Let me see. Let me check that text. Just stay with me.
All right. So, anyways, I try to get coaches on. I'm just not getting the right coaches or texting the right coaches. So we'll move on. We'll get the fans on. What fans want to come on and talk about their team? I'm going over the yes. Again, Crockett's just a sophomore, so PRC quarterback over 300 yards in total. That's Feaster's son. There, I did. They were live streaming again. Jeff Lawson was live streaming it there on Facebook, so certainly appreciate him doing that. And he did the PRC quarterback. They're for real. I mean, their strength of schedule again. I posted on there. They made our top 10 uh, this week. They were ninth, but their strength of schedule, their opponents' record combined are 1-7. So, you know, Poplarville's combined strength of schedule, which is 4-5, their opponents on. And I can go over them real quick as you guys ask some more questions. I don't know. We'll try to extend it out here to see if we get any guests on here. Let me see. Ocean Springs, these are the top 10 opponents they have played before tonight, what their record is. Uh, Ocean Springs opponents that they played in the first 3 weeks, their combined record is 3-6. Picayune's was 2-6. The Iberville's 4-5. West Harrison 5-4. So that's pretty good. They play. I told you they're the toughest schedule on the coast. Gulfport 3-3. Biloxi second toughest schedule on the coast, and I can easily put them as the toughest schedule on the coast. Their opponent's record before tonight 6-3. Poplarville 4-5. Pascagoula 5-4. Those are the teams' combined record for the first 3 weeks. PRC ninth ranked. Their combined opponents' records are combined 1 win and 7 losses. St. Martin 1 win and 8 losses. And who they played tonight? They played Hancock, who have not won a game this season. So if I can get my computer back working, so that actually moves them, St. Martin, to 1-12, the record who they played against. So will that be a factor when it comes to them when region games start? It may be, because they're playing teams that they should beat, and they're beating them pretty good. Their confidence level is up there, is high. And now next week, they will host West Harrison. Again, if they can beat West Harrison, you talking about confidence level dramatically goes up. Doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs still, but they are headed in the right direction out of St. Martin if they could beat West Harrison next Friday. So those are the strength of schedules for the top 10. Again, the top 10 will be compiled and released every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, along with game predictions there on Thursday at 7 o'clock. Any other questions there? Gaucher gets back in the winning column tonight. Yes, they do. Against Moss Point, who coming off that win last week, they were feeling good with Coach Jenkins getting that win against St. Stanislaus. They did lose tonight at Gaucher, 35-0. I had them winning by 24 points. I didn't put an exact score, but they did win by 35. So Gaucher does win there. And Gaucher will be at Greene County next week, and Moss Point will host Van Cleve next week. In fact, I can run over the schedule for next week. The non-region games, there's 14 games next week. Non-region games, Gulfport at Pascagoula, Picayune at Poplarville, Gaucher at Greene County, East Central at Pass Christian, St. Stanislaus at Mobile Christian, Bay High at Presbyterian Christian, Pearl River Central at Summerall Christian Collegiate Academy at Clinton Christian Academy, Van Cleve at Moss Point, Stone at George County, St. Patrick at Resurrection, Hancock and Long Beach are off, and the region games: Ocean Springs at Biloxi, D'Iberville at Harrison Central, and West Harrison at St. Martin. Right now, you would think all the visiting teams are going to be favored, as they should be, and that is Ocean Springs, D'Iberville, and West Harrison, and that is next Friday.
That was Hunter Dawkins from the Gazebo Gazette. So that's next week's schedule. And like I say, coming tomorrow, I'll have the hot or not as I'm sharing pictures on Facebook. And that's what I like to do, is to shine the light and share the pictures of everything from tonight's games. And if you notice, just to slightly change subject, the hat that I'm wearing, this is the brand new hat that I just got up today. The limited edition that I do plan on selling. I've only purchased 12 of them, and it's only red. This one is the 12th one. I got 11 more, and I plan on putting them out for release to sell on a first come, first buy basis. If you are interested, I will set a time and date, and they will be $28 and plus shipping, unless there's somehow I can make an arrangement to meet you in Biloxi Gulfport area. If not, then I'll have to see how much shipping is. That is if you want it. It's a nice sports tech hat with the at Coast Football on there. And right now, again, it's red. Plan on wanting to do white and blue. If I get enough interest in it, then we would pre-sell the red, white, the red and blue, get people to pay for it, and then I would order it. It usually takes about 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks to get them in. That is if you're interested in it. Just a brand new hat. Again, I have 11 of them. This is the 12th one. So obviously I'm not going to sell that. So if you're interested in the Coast Football hat visor that is adjustable in the back, then uh, again, I'll be setting up a time and date to give everybody a fair shot. Not that people are waiting in line to buy it, but I think it's pretty neat. So, but I'm going to send, let me get this because let me send a link. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, I might have did it without getting off. I'm going to send the link to Hunter Dawkins, who joined us the last couple of weeks, and then I'm actually on his, uh, been on his podcast for the last couple of weeks. And I got some people mentioning me in the comments. I'm posting the Coast Top 10 results on Facebook. Let me see who mentioned me in the comments and what they said. Again, I'm a fan, and you're a fan, and we appreciate all the fans. We need you. For those who posted the scores tonight, uh, Christy and Manny Gazler, is that what you pronounce? They posted the West Harrison score. We're gonna add Hunter.
How you doing,
There.
Matt?
Hey, all right, Hunter. Hunter from Dawkins from the Gazebo Gazette. They're affiliated with Gulfport. What do you do for Gulfport? You call on the radio or?
No, I actually, yeah. Well, I'm the Super Talk host. It's Gulfport. Actually, I am the host of the Gulfport show, G96.7. There's two Super Talk shows on the coast. There's 103.1 Ocean Springs. Then there's G96.7 Gulfport, which is me. I host the Gulfport show for Super Talk.
Okay, okay. So you were at the game tonight.
Yeah. I was calling the Gulfport pedal game with my play-by-play Harold Rose, who's one of my good friends and associates, who's also one of the volleyball coaches at West Harrison. But he calls the play-by-play for the show, and I'm the color.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I was watching the end of it the on the live stream,
Back and
and
forth.
I know what happened, but tell the fans as far as I know with the announcer that was doing the game saying about Crosby, who got an offer from well, Cooper Crosby got an offer from Auburn. I see today. That's good,
Yep.
but he has like 95% of the touchdowns, I guess, of Gulfport. I don't
Yeah.
know if they've scored eight and he scored
Well,
six of them.
yeah, well, the problem with that, and I will say, Gulfport did a lot better this week than they did the week before against Laurel because they had 8 turnovers against Laurel, and I consider turnovers not only the interceptions or the fumbles, but I consider the turnover on downs to be turnovers just because I'm old school like that. So they had 8 turnovers against Laurel and barely won, but then against this stout pedal team, this might be the top region team in the Pine Belt region. This team pedal, Ocean Springs had, they ended up winning, but Ocean Springs had a little bit of trouble with them too, and it came down to the last minute. And that's one of the things about this team at Gulfport that I've seen so far after 3 games. They don't exactly give it up. It's every game has been within 3 points that they've played. So just because they play bad, they always keep themselves in the game, and they certainly did this one. They actually ran both of the touchdown passes to Cooper were kind of off the mark. They were all both on bootlegs that they were running to the right, and the receivers were moving to the right, whereas Cooper was moving back on the left side. They left him wide open twice and hit 2 touchdown passes. But there was 2 touchdown passes that were dropped wide open. They were dropped, and Gulfport should have, had some better opportunities, but things just work out the way they did. And to be honest with you, Matt, I thought the field goal at the end, I realistically thought it was pretty good, but you know, I don't make the call. I'm not paid to make the call on the field. So
Yes, I was actually recording that play to show it, and I still had the video where the one announcer on there was excited that the kick is good, and you can see the referees
yep,
push wide right, and that so he thought it was good from the angle that he
it
was
was.
at.
It wasn't. It wasn't that wide right. It was. It might have been a little bit to the right, but it wasn't. If I hit a golf shot like that, I'd be happy. So
Yes, yes. So what the scores? What scores has if you I don't know if you've heard of the scores tonight, as I was going through them, what of them, what has surprised you in any of the scores? Did they stand out? I mean, was it the Ocean Sprint 56-42, the defenses they didn't have to bring the defense, so just one bus
yeah.
traveled
Now,
over.
as I've said to you before, Matt, and I'm not really sure about the exact number, but I heard the West Harrison beating Laurel 56-20 something, from what I heard, and so that to me is a surprising number because that goes to show just as what I've told you the past few weeks, Matt. West Harrison's going to bring it to everybody. They're going to give it their best every week. And, if you can't stand to the line and stop them, they're going to take it to you.
Yes, it was 53 to 20. They did trail early in that game as I was getting updates. And again, certainly appreciate the fans there giving me the updates on Facebook and on X. But they did win 53 to 20. First time that they are 4 and 0 since they formed in 2009. So
That's
West
right.
Harrison, again, 4 and 0 for the first time. And now region play starts. They go to St. Martin, who is 4 and 0. So somebody's O has to go, and
That's the matchup
it's
of
going
the
to be
week.
tough. It
That's the
is.
matchup of the week. Yep.
It is. And I'm going to come out with my, again, region prediction on Monday for the 7A because those are the only team that start this week, this next week for region play is the 7A class. The other ones are non-region still. So, yes, Ocean Springs at Biloxi, D'Iberville at Harrison Central, and West Harrison at St. Martin. Right now, I would say the visiting teams are the favorite here that I'm,
Well,
looking at on a
the
Friday
one
night a week before.
one game in 7A that's a not a non-conference game is Gulfport. They're playing at Pascagoula next week. So
Yes, yes. They said the only region games were those three games. The other ones, there's
okay,
total of 14. There's total of 14 games. And yes, Gulfport will be at Pascagoula. And then the other game, Picayune at Poplarville. They were, redoing that rivalry there. And I
rivalry.
say rivalry, I don't know how much of a rivalry is when Picayune has dominated that series, but I I would think both of them is going to be a high scoring game, and then it'll come out and not be
Sure.
such a high scoring game.
Exactly. Exactly. No, it was a little bit surprising about. I'm not surprised about the amount of scoring Ocean Springs did, but the fact that Picayune, let it get to that level was
Yeah, you were breaking up there. Yes, Ocean Springs had a 99-yard touchdown. It was a nice drop pass over the shoulder to Chop
yeah,
there for Ocean Springs, and they scored the most. They set a record for Ocean Springs, the most combined points in a game this season. It was in
yeah,
school history. Now that it is 90. What was it? 98 points. It was 91 points. Now it's 98. 56 to 42 was the win there
right.
for Ocean Springs tonight. So some teams, getting their first win tonight. George County defeats Wayne County 28-21. So that was,
Wow,
I had George
wow,
County winning,
that
but still,
that's surprising. You know?
it is.
I mean, of course,
It
I,
is.
I can't really say that I know what Wayne County has because I really don't. But it was surprising, that George County was able to come out. And I thought I heard through the grapevine that Greene County, the receiver Jace Matthews tore his ACL. Is that correct?
I haven't heard that, but I told you last week that I heard that he was out the game or went out the game, and they still
Okay,
did win last week. That is Greene County. So no, I did not know. Again, the teams don't give out injury reports unless you just happen to see it on the field or know that. But
sure.
that's a big loss there for Greene County.
Yeah,
Obviously, since he's the second wide receiver ranked in the state, so that
yep,
is a
that's
big
right.
loss for him. But yes.
And,
Uh, Go
and
ahead.
I guess another surprise was at East Central, what they did to Forest County.
They did. Forest County was undefeated at 3-0, and East Central not just didn't get by, they 41-19 to get their first win of the season. So that was nice there again. Coach Huff and company to get that win for East Central, a convincing win against the Forest County team that is that is pretty decent. That will make the playoffs. So East Central,
Sure,
takes care of business there. Uh, George County winning for the first time. The other team, Van Cleve, gets their first win tonight. Coach Fant and company. I thought they would win earlier than what they did, but they beat.
Sure.
That's the one that they beat Greene County 27-21. They were tied at 14 points each at halftime. So that that's not a shock the world surprise that Van Cleve won, but I had
Yeah.
Greene County winning by 6, so I knew it was going to be close, and instead Van Cleve won by 6. So I was right on that part of it. The 6 points, just the opposite side. So, but Van Cleve
How much?
winning.
How'd you end up today, Matt?
No, I'm added it up and then I'm gonna re-add it. I went through it live and didn't want to bore the fans, but from what I added up, it should be 11-6 this week, which is
Okay.
the most, losses that I've had the first out of the first 3 weeks. So,
Understand.
it's still above 500, and so I'm happy with that. But yes, I lost the teams like the Van Cleve, and the East Central. I didn't have those teams winning. I lost Biloxi. I don't know what's happened to Biloxi again, a non-region game. They go up to Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg's not the same team as they were last year, making the state championship game, and Biloxi 23-6. After losing last week at Picayune, and now Biloxi has no time to waste. They will be hosting Ocean Springs next week in the region game one. So that score kind of surprised me there with Biloxi losing and then just putting up 6 points. Are players hurt there? I'm not sure. Again, I don't have an injury report. I have to watch the highlights to see the starting quarterback was playing and who was in and who was out. So that was
I'll
a
tell you
surprise
this, Matt.
there.
I'll tell you this, Matt. If you have the record that you do in high school games right now, you'd be making a lot of money at casinos. So
Yeah, well, I do make wagers. It's legal, so I do make wagers at the casino. Now it's a little bit different, than that. But so I mean, I'm not a big way. When I say way, I may bet 20, 30, $40, on some games. I lost Ole Miss last week, when they didn't cover the spread, but I
that's right.
also won several other games. So it's fun, it's entertaining, and that's why I do these predictions to try to come close. So that's gonna, I was 39-11 the first 3 weeks. So we'll see
Yep,
here after 11-6 week after tonight. The other game that may surprise you, I don't know. Harrison Central at home, loses to
that's right.
Tylertown, 13 to
Jeez,
12.
jeez.
Harrison Central is gonna. It's I mean, again, I don't want to just because I say they're not going to win a region game doesn't mean that they are no. I mean, they're not trying. I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to reflect that they just are struggling and they lost last week. Big time, and then they lose tonight to Tylertown, and they
Well,
next week, will host D'Iberville. So one win, they beat D'Iberville next
well,
week. That you know,
yep, well, that's right. As many coaches have told me before, Matt, that it doesn't really matter. You can be 0-4 going into region play, and the moment you win your first game, you're undefeated in your region.
yes, everybody right now is tied for the region lead, even though Ocean Springs has won 4 straight region titles and 24 straight region games. Everybody is tied for first place out those 7 teams in that 7A. And again, we bring them up only because they're the only class that starts region games next week. So let me see if there's any
Well,
what
Matt,
comments we have.
I'll tell
Go
you
ahead.
this. I'm going to go with you on this because I probably should have done it a lot earlier. But my office is right next to their field with my name, my billboard on their scoreboard. I'm pretty much going to be with you, and I'm predicting that Pascal Shan is going to finish first district title. I know it's an early prediction. There's a lot of things that can happen, but I'm pretty sure from the way they've been playing and the way that other teams have been playing in their region, they're looking pretty solid.
Yes, yes, they are. I have, and again, I'll project who's going to win. what region, as far as the title. And like I said, that's just part of what I do. I'll have to stick my neck out of the line and say this team is going to win the region. And right now, I can say on Monday at 7 o'clock that I am going to put. I can let the cat out the bag that Ocean Springs is favored to win the region once again. That'll be five straight. So, I mean, who's right there
That's
behind them?
right.
D'Iberville. D'Iberville will have something to say about that. They're the hottest team going there in that 7A class. But yes, Pass Christian certainly, I believe, will win their first region title. Again, in the five teams they have to beat: Forest County, Greene County, Moss Point, and Bay High, who was actually off tonight. Bay High was. So,
And despite their loss, I think it's pretty much favorable to say that Picayune is going to be the favorite in their region.
yes, they are. They will be the favorite there. I have to bring up the region that they uh, are in, which changed from last year because now they do have uh, Gaucher back in there. Of course, Gaucher lost to Picayune in his South State Championship game a couple
Yeah,
years ago, but the Picayune, let me see, I'm looking at Picayune. Picayune has Gaucher, Hancock, who Long Beach, Pascagoula, PRC, and Picayune. So undoubtedly Picayune's a favorite there. Who could beat them? You would say Pascagoula. Pascagoula, again, we don't have an
yeah,
injury report, but I know Action Jackson didn't play last week, and I don't believe he probably played tonight. I would have to watch the highlights, but again, these non-region games, players may not play if they're a little dinged up. So will that make a difference? Certainly that make a difference. So Pascagoula will host Gulfport next week again in a non-region game. So Picayune would be favored to win that region. Who would come in second? And they would get a round one home playoff game. As if fans don't know, you win your region or finish second, you guarantee yourself a round one playoff game. Third and fourth seeds have to go on the road in first round. So you would think. With still a couple games or a game to play before region play starts, you would think Picayune is right there. Who would be second? I would lean, Pascagoula, Gaucher, and then PRC, and Hancock and Long Beach looking on the
yeah,
outside in. But then you have Gaucher played
yeah.
Pascagoula that last week of the regular season. That could be for a second a home round, a home playoff game. But a lot can happen, between now and then. Obviously, that's what we're looking at it here today to have the fans
Sure.
something certainly to talk about. Let me see. I saw Donnie Hamler wrote something. I'm trying to look at oh, to beat a man, they go, I have to beat the man. Jackets ain't played nobody. Uh, True, Donnie, they have not. Again, I posted their strength of schedule
Well,
and the opponents. They are now after tonight.
and,
The opponents that St. Martin have played, they are 1-12. That's
and
their
it's the
their
same
record.
thing. And Matt, what I'll tell you, that's going to be an interesting game next week between them and West Harrison, because neither one of those teams have really. Have, well, West Harrison's never been in the playoffs before. St. Martin, it's been a while, and so those two teams have not really shown up or done anything in this region in a long time. So that's going to be pretty questionable about what happens in that, not only in that game, but what happens in their region play.
Yes, and I mentioned that strength of schedule that was 1-8 before tonight, but now after tonight for St. Martin, again it was 1-8. They actually get a little bit of strength to their schedule because Van Cleve, who they beat, finally won a game. East Central, who they beat, finally won a game. So that's two games right there added. So actually, it's going to be like 3-12 is their opponent's records there, and that plays into a factor of coast top 10, and they certainly will be in the top 10. St. Martin will be in the top
And
10, come Tuesday.
yeah, and because I'll tell you this, Matt. Now, of course, Gulfport hasn't played their best, so far this year, but of the teams they've played, including tonight with Pedal, I'm not so sure Pedal doesn't win their region. Their region, which is a lot weaker than it has been in the past, with Oak Grove, Brandon, Meridian. I'm trying to think who else is in their region. But that Belt region isn't as it has been in the past.
Yeah, they got Brandon, Meridian, Northwest Rankin, Oak Grove, Pearl, and then Petal. And the one leading into tonight, Brandon and Northwest were the two that were at 2-1. Everybody else was at 1-2 before tonight. So that's what the who Petal's
Yep.
class that they will play in. But it was a tough loss for Gulfport.
And it,
It was just deja vu from when they in the playoff games, where they had the lead and
that's
then
right.
they till they didn't have the lead. Then they had the field goal attempt there, and man, I did thought he had it. And again, I recorded it. I was going to post it. Gulfport wins with the walk off kickoff, and unfortunately they don't. Now they don't have a region game coming up. They will play at Pascagoula next Friday. That is the Gulfport Admirals there. So that's what we have
But
as go
yep.
ahead. Um,
But I said, but don't be surprised if Pedal's a sleeper and ends up winning that district because or that region, because that region is pretty wide open right now. At least what it seems like.
Yeah, and somebody was asking, I guess hopefully they'll find out, Jamichael was asking about the Tylertown versus Harrison Central. Tylertown wins 13-12 at Harrison Central. Uh, and then, yeah, somebody was trying to also somewhat confirming about the wide receiver for Greene County about having that injury. Hopefully, I mean, it seems to be true, but hopefully, it's not as bad because he is somebody to be reckoned with. And thank you, Brett, for posting that 13-12. I'm just trying to get caught up. I'm with Biloxi, but we're looking good. So I was just trying to get caught up on the comments here. I believe that was on as we're heading up on 12 o'clock. Again, week 4 is in the books. Uh, Tomorrow I'll have the hot or not. I'll have the stats I really somewhat gave out tonight about the last shutouts or how many wins in a row, who still hasn't won a game. Unfortunately, Christian Collegiate 0-5, but they did score tonight. So that was a positive there. Again, an 8-man team moving up to 11-man team is very hard, and they're seeing that it is very hard. It wasn't their choice. It was not their choice, Christian Collegiate. It was a matter of the state saying if you have 50 plus students in your schools, you have to play 11-man football. So they're over that, obviously, that 50-man mark, but I say 50-man, 50 student mark, but that is nowhere near they have 50 football players. So their depth is really hurting them. And unfortunately, they moved to 0-5, but they did score. They lost tonight 60-6. And one of the rare times I did post a prediction for somebody to get shut out. Normally I don't, do it, but I did have them being shut out tonight, and they did lose tonight, Christian Collegiate. As far as the other ones, I'm trying to skim through it. Who else has not won? Hancock has not won a game this season. Does that mean that they can't make the playoffs? No. Again, these non-region games, Coach King, who moved over from Greene County, is working with that air raid offense. The defense is sus. I guess as the kids would say, the defense is not that, has to get better. With Ty Keys running from what he did last week, Crockett with several touchdowns tonight for St. Martin, and Hancock will be off next week. They'll be
I was
off,
gonna
and then
say they're gonna be off next week. You said.
yes, they're off next week, and then they're at Bay, and then finally they'll start region play on 10-10, October 10th, hosting PRC. So that, every region game is big, especially, when you have 4 teams make it and there's 6 teams in the region. They're the only team that has not won a game. But again, throw the records out when it comes to region play. Everybody's tied for first. And just win your region game. Some of them you just got to win one region game, which I don't like. When they have five teams
Yep.
in a division and four of them make it, that's just unfortunate there. So,
That's
uh,
generally all the four, three, two, three, and four A regions are generally most of them are five. You don't really get that in 6A or in 7A, but generally two through five are four or they're five teams. So,
yes, and I see Donnie Handler, who's the Iberville alumni, as he's a great supporter of the Iberville. As they again win tonight, I didn't get to. I'll have to watch the highlights. I tried to watch on both channels, and it didn't work from Huddle for Pascagoula, and then the Iberville had a YouTube link, and I copied and pasted it, and it didn't show up because I would have liked to have seen that game. But the Iberville moves on to I won't say a quiet 4-0, but I mean they're in our rankings third this week. Well, they move up since Picayune lost. Picayune, did only lose by not that big of a margin, and that does play a factor. They did lose by 14 points, but the Iberville moves to 4-0, and the last time they started 4-0 was 2021 with Coach Dolan. So this is the first time for the coach to be 4-0, Coach Ladner, that is, with the Iberville, and they beat Pascagoula tonight 35-14. And last time, let me see, they're on a mini three-game home win streak there. They're 1-0 this season. Now they're 2-0. That is the Iberville. And the Panthers, again, just I think their injuries are right now is what the problem is with the Panthers, even though they officially doesn't post it. But I believe again, Action Jackson is out. Their starting quarterback didn't play last week against Ocean Springs, and they lost 21-14. Would that been a difference? I don't know, because Ocean Springs is just hitting on all cylinders. They're really doing really on a roll. That is the Greyhounds. So. But so you're driving back to your place then, or no? Where are you going? You usually on the road as you are on the road there, Hunter.
yeah. No, I'm headed up north. I'm headed up to Starkville because I'm not going to stay in Starkville tonight. I'm going to stay a little bit south of Starkville, probably in Meridian. But yeah, no, I'm definitely headed up north though because I've got a 3 o'clock kickoff. I got to cover Mississippi State tomorrow. So
Mississippi State, and then, yes,
that's
tomorrow I
right.
have Gulf Coast is having their homecoming tomorrow,
Yeah, got
and
the homecoming.
prime time. Uh,
That's right.
they're in
Tell
prime time 7 o'clock.
make sure you tell Dr. Graham I said hello. She knows me very well, and so that'd be that. That's be a fun time, a good fun time down there.
Yes, the fifth ranked Gulf Coast Bulldogs. Again, a lot of coast players are on
Yeah,
that
one,
team.
one of
So
the
I may be
kids
a little.
that I covered, one of the kids that I covered his whole high school career, Jaden Acker from Pasco Shan, caught his first touchdown pass last week.
Well, yeah, yeah, I know. He moved from defense to offense, so that's
That's right.
that's pretty good there. That some players that are in high school, may think, hey, I'm going to be this position, and we've seen quarterbacks go to wide receivers and go up to D1. So I mean, the coach, they're gonna put you in that right place uh, to show your talent. So you got to be open minded, to say, hey, I've been a quarterback all this time. I only want to play quarterback, but yet, like I said, there was a quarterback we had for Gulf Coast that uh, moved to wide receiver, and then he went on to play at Ole Miss. So yes, It is what it, but Acker did catch that touchdown and one last week, 28-24. I may be running late tomorrow. Not that people are necessarily worried about it. I'm celebrating my mom's 90th birthday. It was yesterday. So 90 years old, my mom, and we're celebrating it starting at 5, and the kickoff is at 7, homecoming. So I may be a little bit late there. But they could tune in, to Bulldog Live or be up there in the stands to
Well,
support the
tell her I said
Bulldogs.
happy birthday.
Yes, yeah, I saw her tonight. I saw her tonight too. So we're kind of celebrating the over a couple days, But appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Again, Bingo couldn't make it on. Again, traveling back from Picayune as Ocean Springs defeats Picayune to move to 4-0. The 4-0 teams. What I say last week, there was 6 teams that were 4-0, Hunter, last week. Ocean
Wow.
Springs, Picayune, D'Iberville, West Harrison, St. Martin, and PRC. So this week, there are not 6 teams. We have down to now Ocean Springs, D'Iberville. Of course, Picayune lost, so they're
West
not
Harrison.
perfect. West Harrison and St. PRC lost, and St. Martin. So down to four
Four.
teams that are 4-0. And then on the other side, unfortunately, last week we had one, two, three, four, five, and counting Christian Collegiate, 6 that hadn't won a game. But then this week we cross off George County, we cross off Van Cleve, and cross off East Central. So we're down to Hancock and Bay, which Bay did not play, and then Christian Collegiate. So down to 3 teams that have not won uh, yet this season. So that again will be on the hot or not on Saturday. Uh, and let me see, Donnie posted Petal and Ocean Springs will meet again in the playoffs. Uh, yeah, that possibly could be there in the uh,
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
if they do, it'll be the championship. I been my prediction on that. So,
Yeah, again, we're hoping that any coach team makes it to the state championship. We've had one for many of years, but we just like
that's
some,
right.
like the 7-8 team. We would like a 7-8 team to make it.
That's right.
So, but we're just getting into region play. So we're just getting into it, and like I say, I'll have the fan talk, I believe on Sunday maybe, where I'll post a post on Facebook, and y'all come in with your questions and answers, and I'll answer or give my opinion on it. And then again, Monday, the big region predictions for 7A. Who's going to win the title? Who's going to make the playoffs? And who's not going to be in the playoffs coming up this year for 7A. So that's coming up. And then, of course, you have your podcast that you release on Mondays. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I look
Yeah.
forward to having you Sunday. Sunday from we'll say 4:10 right now because I like to have the local format first, and that way we can talk a little about what's going on. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
Yes, yes, we certainly appreciate. I appreciate you having me on there. I try to bring some information, and opinion on what's happening with coast football and even some JUCO football. Uh, and then I know you have other guests that talk wide variety of college football, so everybody gets there. And I
Yeah,
share it on Facebook, so
yes,
everybody
sir.
gets a wide variety of their sports feel as the number
Yeah,
one sport is playing now, and that is football.
yeah, that's right. It's the HD experience. It's on the Gazebo Gazette website, and it's also on iHeart website too as well. And anything we can do to provide it. I know you do a great job, Matt, and I really appreciate you every week. And we've had a pretty good following.
Yes, yes, and again, it goes back to the fans. I have parents that reach out to me to send me highlights, or that's the way it goes. That's the way. That's what I need. I need. people to send me highlights or send me a link to where they've posted their highlights. And now I've gotten into Hot Willie Pepper. I believe that's his name on there. That he
Yeah.
he has the
Does
JV
it
and the
go?
eighth grade,
Yeah.
the
Doesn't
future
he do?
stars.
Yeah. Doesn't he do the Gulfport podcast, or is that Woody's or something like that? I'm
Oh
trying to
no,
think.
no, no, no. What a Gulfport does there, but no, it's Hot Willie Pepper is, and
Yeah.
I recommend if you have a kid in seventh, eighth, ninth grade, 10th, that's who I would go follow because he has Hot Willie Pepper Show. That's what I have right here. He has the standings and he has the players, the future stars, as I
Okay.
call them. But he has,
The
division.
recreation. Yeah.
He has the JV teams.
Okay.
He
Junior high
covers
and the J.
those. Yes,
Okay.
yes. And so he has it breaking down into three divisions, and not him, but that's just the way they are. They have three divisions, and I share
So
their posts. It's not high school, but that's what he
yeah.
has at the bottom, Coach Future Star. So we're going to see these players obviously in the future. So most
You know,
def,
Matt, back in the day, back when you and I were coming up too, they used to have St. Martin and a whole bunch of those Big Eight schools that were the old back in the day in the 50s and 60s. They had a setup in junior high among junior high teams like that, set up for St. Martin, Gulfport, Biloxi, Harrison Central, and it was they would have a bowl game at the end of the year. It would always be called the Shrimp Bowl. I'm not sure whatever happened to that, but maybe we can get that reinvigorated.
yes, yes, they had several bowl games that but yes, they had the Shrimp Bowl for several years uh, there on it. So totally agree with that. And I do have a message. I know somebody, and of course, I know we covered Coast, but I did get a message I was reading here as we're fixing to be signing off. That a player, it was a Louisville quarterback that was prayer. Somebody sent me where prayers lifted for our wide receiver Trey Tippett. He's been carted off the field with the injury. So yes, we certainly don't want to see any players hurt or injured. And unfortunately, the player from Delta State, the junior college player, passed away after the game
Yeah,
last night, and that was unfortunate. And so we just got
yeah,
to take care of our players and make sure they take care of themselves. And of course, thoughts and prayers. I know we cover coast football, but I also cover statewide. If anything needs to be covered statewide, I certainly will share that information. So appreciate you sharing that person sharing that information with us on there. So, but yeah, with the Hot Willie Pepper show, even Coach Bramlett talked about. That's where it starts with even Picayune. It starts,
of
down
course.
in the seventh, eighth grade, ninth grade. So that's where you see
Yep,
your future at. So you got
yep.
to go down there and I don't want to say coach them up, but they learn the system where they're moving up to the high school and now Ocean Springs, I
That's what
believe they went undefeated last year in the junior in the ninth
that's
grade.
what Picayune been doing. That's what Picayune's been doing, Matt. And since the 1960s, been running that same old wing tee from recreation ball all the way up.
Yes. Yes, they have, and that's just crazy. They're gonna. It's one of those, like you say, every time they're gonna run it, but it's like Poplarville. I mean, they're going to run the ball, and you still can't stop it. So, but we have hit midnight, Hunter, and like I said, I know you're driving, and I'm fixing to finish up. I still will be up for another hour and a half, trying to do the finalization, and then again tomorrow, the hot or not that's on there. Maybe we can get Bingo on the show next week or so. He's at Biloxi next week, as Ocean Springs will be
There
at
you go.
Biloxi, and we'll have the quick look schedule on Sunday. That's for me just to confirm that I have the schedule right in these non-region games because they tend to change since the beginning of the season. And then Monday, like I say, the game region predictions for 7A only. They start region games On Thursday, that is Ocean Springs at Biloxi, D'Iberville at Harrison Central, and West Harrison at St. Martin. Those are the only region games being played next week out of the 14 games. And then Tuesday, the Tuesday top 10. And then Wednesday, the lineup with the rankings. And then Thursday, the game predictions. As again, I'll have to re-add, but I think I went, like I said earlier, whatever I said earlier, I went 11-6, I think it was.
Well, Matt, I
So
thank you
yes,
very much for, and I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
yes. Thank you, Hunter. Be careful as you drive, and we'll check you out next week. But yes, on Sunday for the podcast.
Take care.
All right. Thank you, Hunter. All right, that was Hunter Dawkins. Is again over 300 strong, still going on here just past midnight. And I appreciate Hunter for joining us again. I reached out to several people to come on the show, so I just got to push the right buttons and see who else I can get on the show for next week. Again, the hats that I had, the visors. Again, I only have 11 of them. They're all red. They're just like this. I do plan on selling them. Again, $28 plus the shipping if you live a distance, if I cannot meet you. And if there's enough interest in them, I do have ones that I look to get that are white and blue, a white one and then a blue one and a red one, red, white, and blue. I just have the red ones now, just so you can see it at Coast Football. And again, they're $28 is what they're going to be, limited edition there. So if you want one, again, I'll set a time and say, hey, it's going to be on sale at this time. Because again, there's only 11 of them, and first come, first get. And if there's enough sold, then we'll move on and try to buy more. So it's a little bit something to come up with for the Coast Football as far as the visor. So we're going to be ending it up here tonight. And there is just four teams left undefeated: Ocean Springs, D'Iberville, West Harrison, St. Martin. They all happen to be 7A, as again, Picayune lost tonight, and the PRC lost tonight, and there was three of them. Yes. So, and then congratulations to those teams that did win, get their first win. That's what they need to get that momentum, even though it's a non-region game. You still had teams that were able to get that first win tonight, and that was the Van Cleve, George County, East Central. Am I missing George County, East Central, and Van Cleve? So you still got Hancock and Bay was off tonight. Um, so just a great night of football. 4 weeks already flown by. We don't want it to go by so fast. And certainly, again, send me your uh, highlights or send me a link and I can share them. And then if your player, your son, whoever you are, want to on X at Coast Football, that's where I get more views, more coaches, more scouts that would look at it. The huddle highlights will certainly share them um, on there, and hopefully, to shine the light on them. So I appreciate everybody joining us, and we will. I might go special live on Monday. Who knows? But next Friday we'll be back right here as 14 games start on the slate next week. In three games will be region play. All right, that's it. We're gonna wrap things up, and we'll see what the hot or not tomorrow. If I miss any hot or nots, then certainly post it there. But again, the winners tonight: Ocean Springs did defeat Picayune 56-42. D'Iberville 35-14 over Pascagoula. Hattiesburg takes out Biloxi 23-6. Petal gets by Gulfport 25-24. Gulfport had that field goal attempt there, about a 40-yarder, as time expired and went wide right. West Harrison remains perfect. First time they are 4-0. since they formed in 2009, 53-20 at Laurel. I'm sorry, versus Laurel. Poplarville 49-14 puts the lone loss so far in the season on Coach Feaster, PRC. Gaucher back to winning 39-0 over Moss Point. Pass Christian 56-0 over St. Stanislaus. St. Martin 35-0 over Hancock. Tylertown takes out Harris Essential 13-12. George County 28-21 over Wayne County gets their first win of the season. Purvis over Long Beach 23-21. East Central 41-19 over Forest County as they get their first win. East Central and Forest County loses their first game of the season. Van Cleve takes out Greene County 27-21. They've been playing a lot of close games. They're finally on the high side of that game. So congratulations there, winning their first game. That is Van Cleve. Richton over St. Patrick 44-28. Sacred Heart 35-7 at Resurrection. And Amit Rebels 4-1, 60-6 over Christian Collegiate. Yes, they are 0-5, but they finally scored tonight, Christian Collegiate. And Stone was off this week, 1-2. And in fact, Stone will play at George County next week. And Bay High, 0-3, was off tonight. And Bay High will play at Presbyterian Christian, aka PCB. So, all right. Stats out. Thank you.
Seneca Hampton, where you at, boss?